everybody, Mark here again with ExoticCar Play Place, and I have my Lamborghini Gallardo here today. I've done a video in the past on the oil service. Now I'm that time of year now, I'm ready to change the oil for the car. As you can see, it's sitting very high in the back. What I have is, I decided to put the wheels on blocks. I've also got my jack in the back to support it. I've run the car, the engine's warm, so we got oil that should pour out nicely. But now I'm ready to start the oil change. So today's video is all about, I'm going to show you step by step how to perform the oil change. I'm going to talk about the little tips and tricks along the way. This is a 5 liter, this is this is a 2005 Gallardo. And you know, for those that do it yourself, you probably know some of these tricks, but I'm going to show you how I do this. And maybe there's a better way or another way to do this for you guys that may or may not have done this before. So let's proceed. We're going to walk through the step by step. Oh, by the way, I did create another video on this in the past. Last year, I had another video on how to change the oil. But it was, some people didn't really care for that video because I didn't show a lot of detail. I was a little more vague, and to be honest, I didn't actually show the step by step. I walked through it, but I didn't actually do it. Today, I'm going to do the video. We're doing the oil change, and I'm going to share that with you guys here today. So you be sure to stick around. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, of course, before. You might as well do it now, get it out of the way. Then by the end of the video, you're off and running, okay? There we are. That's the main drain plug. That's the engine drain plug that we have to let go. So we're going to let that drain for a bit. Okay, so next we have the sump drain right here. It's just kind of on the just slightly off to the left of the transmission, just behind the starter here. Be careful you never short out a starter while you're working on a car, especially when you got no engine oil in the engine. But anyway, so here it is. It's already leaking because I already cracked it loose, but here we go. And I'm going to pull this out. And it's going to come out here in a second. There we are. Now we're draining the engine oil sump. So this, because it's a dry sump, we have an external oil tank here. This is the tank. So fortunately on the early Lambos like this, the LP, or not the LPs, but the pre-LP cars like this, we only have 2 drain points. We have the engine one and we have the sump drain right here that you're looking at here. So it makes the draining of the oil a little bit quicker than the newer cars have a lot more oil in, or a lot more oil drain points in them. Clean this up a little bit. Still draining a little bit out of there, but not too bad. So what we're going to do is put the plug back in with the, make sure we get that O-ring on it. This, you'll notice it's got the O-ring. And tighten that first, get it up there. Now, I'm going to give this a quick tightening. Give this a snug. There. Tight. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to tighten up the one on the engine. Okay, so we're going to go over the engine. It's still draining a little bit. It's going to piss all day if I just leave it, which is not a big deal. I've got the mass majority, 98% of the oil out of the engine. So for the sake of time, like I said, I keep the engine oil clean here and I change it very regularly, so I'm not worried about a little residual. So you got a ring on there. And I'm gonna get that started. Gonna get that threaded in there. You'll see the ring is in there. There we are. It's in there hand tight. Beautiful. Whoa, that's so nice. Okay. Should get all this, do a little cleanup while I'm in here. Don't breathe too much of this dust. There's a clutch. We're getting very close to the clutch housing, which is right here. And there's ucky dust that comes out of there. So you don't want to get any of that. Anyway, we're in good shape. Everything looks dry under here. Motor, other than a little bit of dust here and there. Engine looks very good, very clean, very dry, which is important, of course. Take the extension off. Don't need that anymore. Now we're going to snug this guy down. Don't want to get too carried away. Don't need to over tighten. Snug it up. Okay. Okay. With a bit of a wipe again. And we should be in good shape. Now, of course, before we run there, or once we run the engine, we'll be watching for these 2 points that we pulled out. Make sure there's no leaks once we've got engine oil back in where it belongs. So a couple tools I'm going to be using right now. The filter wrench. This, guys, I make these. I get these fabricated. I've been selling them kind of locally. They work awesome. And anybody who's done this job knows that that filter is an ugly, ugly thing to get at. That filter housing is really ugly to get down in there, and you'll see here right away. The other thing is I'm using this because this is going to take the vacuum hoses off so I can get in there in the first place. So I'm going to use these tools here right away. Okay, so I'm going to take off a vacuum line here, and I'm going to take off their 2 vacuum lines right there. So this one I'm going to take off of here. Squeeze that, pull that hose clamp back. Pull that away. Stick that down there somewhere for now. And there's another one on the one below it, or just behind it. Let's get that one. Be careful you don't break parts off on here. That would be kind of a crappy ordeal. Extra costs, I'm sure. I don't even know what that sensor is worth, but probably more than you want to spend just doing a simple oil change. And so you can see the filter housing down there. What we want to do before we undo it is we know there will be oil coming out of it, so I want to make sure, yeah, that's it. So we want to make sure that I'm going to put a rag around it so that I minimize, you'll never totally eliminate, but hopefully minimize the oil that kind of seeps out around it. So I can barely even get my hand in there in the first place. Next we're going to use this bad boy. You see this? Guys have tried conventional wrenches. Some work, some don't. They're ugly either way, no matter how you do it. This here, it's the right length. It's the exact dimensions. This is going to help a lot. Note, at no time is this a gravy job, but this just makes life a little bit easier. So I'm able to get this on the housing, fit it on there. There. Got it started. So you can see I got a partial turn on it. Okay. So I got it unscrewed. Now the trick is how to get it out of here. That's always the trick. There. Oh yeah. Get this thing out of here. Just walk it out of there. Now, of course, we got oil splooging everywhere here, and that's not good. Okay, you know, it never hurts to do a quick inspection, see if you've got any filings or anything in between the pleats.
See, this looks very clean. Nothing in there but little oil. It's good. So it's good signs we don't have any excessive wear. So there's the old filter. We'll take that out now. Okay. Okay, we're going to take the old filter housing O-ring off and make sure we put a new one on. No cuts or tears, and I had no leaks, but anyway, we'll put a new O-ring on. Okay, so we're going to bust into the new stuff here. And here's the new filter and the new O-ring that comes with. Throw that in the garbage. The filter, and make sure that everything's greased up. There's a little O-ring on here. Make sure there's a little oil on there. And this has to have oil on it too. Make sure that oil, so everything slides nice when you're putting it together. You don't want to have this stuff binding, because then it pinches and it breaks and you have problems. So what we're going to do, but for now, we can put this filter in. And there's a bit of locking tabs, as you can probably see. You may or may not see in there. So we're going to put this in, and these have to lock down. So you find a happy sweet spot, click. So it's in. There's a little fresh oil. A little fresh oil on the top there. Make sure you get that O-ring in there. I want to make sure I get that O-ring on the filter. Otherwise it binds, and like I said, you can get the O-ring twisting and ripping and stuff, and then it's not doing its job, eh? So we're gonna put this on, make that all nice and greasy. So that looks pretty good. Then we got this other one, we got the big O-ring. So let's put that, let's grease that up real good. Put some new fresh oil on it. So the old stuff could be full of some kind of contaminants and grit. So just put a new oil on there. So we're going to wrap that. Fully seated all the way around. And it's got some grease on it, a little oil. So it should slide in there fairly well. I'm not gonna make sure everything's nice and greasy. I want to make sure everything kind of goes in there as easy as we can. So as you can see down there, now I've got this ready to go. It's all together. Be careful too, those tabs inside the housing, they do tend to break once in a while, so this can be an ugly job if the filter doesn't stay in. Good luck with you. I mean, what I did for $70 or $60, I bought a new filter housing. It's not the end of the world. I'd recommend just buying one, having it on hand for doing this job. Never know. So anyway, let's try to shimmy this into there. This is not a happy job, but again, this is kind of what it is. The life and the ownership of a Lamborghini. Just shimmy this down in there. Ooh, look at that, guys. We are sitting in the housing. Now I'm going to start to turn it. You start threading this thing in. Yeah, see, it's not coming out now. It's in, started. What a sexy deal, eh? So we're going to hand bomb that in as far as we can. Make sure that hose is clear. There's no wires or anything tucking underneath there. Shouldn't be any wires. If there is, there's something wrong up here. But there are some wiring harnesses near, not right there, but okay, so we are, so you can see we're pretty much in. That's as far as I can go by hand. So I'm gonna get a little bit extra oomph. Okay. Now, you can see that it's almost seated. So we know we're doing something right. We don't have a pinched O-ring or something, because sometimes if you pinch them, you'll find it really hard to get this thing tightened down. Now we put the O-ring on there. We greased that big O-ring. We greased the little O-ring. Now we're just gonna tighten this thing down. And this is where this tool is just so handy. Again, anybody interested, make sure you send me a message here on YouTube, guys, and I'll see if I can connect up with you and sell you guys some of these things if you want them. I mean, everybody's got their own way of doing things, but I've had quite a few people buy these off of me, and I see there's a lot of retailers on the internet that have come up with similar designs, because it just makes the job that much nicer. You know, it locks in, sits on there nice, it's the perfect fit. Look at that. This actually, the first time I tried this, I did it with some other random tools. The job, what today took me about an hour, all in, because I'm almost done now. The first time it took me about 3 hours, because monkeying around trying to get this all tightened in. It was ugly. Oh yeah, nice and snug there. There we are. Look at that, guys. In there, beautiful. We'll call that a job well done. You'll notice there's no residual oil anywhere. Did a nice little cleanup. Put that back in, new filter, ready to rock. So let's start adding some oil. See, this one goes on the bottom. I push this underneath that sensor. So that's right up in there. I'm gonna ride this up. Ride this clamp up there. If I can get it up there all the way. Okay. And I'll do the other one. This one on here. Push this clamp, this little hose clamp, squeeze it and push. There we are, guys. Now we're going to start adding some oil. Okay, so I'm going to use the quick wipe here in the funnel. We'll make sure it's all clean and dry and there's no crap in there. Take this out of here. Now, you may or may not be aware of this, but Lamborghini, they recommend on the procedure for filling the oil on this car, they actually state that you have to add 6 quarts of oil first, then run the car in. Make sure it builds pressure, you have no leaks. So I'm going to add a few quarts of oil first. We're going to put 4.5 liters first. 4.4 liters in this jug. And I believe by the time it's all said and done, we're talking about probably around 10, 11 liters. We're going to start with 4.5 here, and we'll put another, about again, 1.5 quart estimate. And we'll start the car and make sure it runs. We'll give it a minute to just all sort of run into its respective orifices. Okay, we're going to give this thing a fire up. We've got about 6-ish some odd quarts of oil in there right now, so we're going to fire this up. Okay, so I ran it a couple of times. I ran it up lightly. I gently idled it at, obviously at, I didn't want to over rev it here with that 6 quarts in there. I shut it off, checked the level. Of course it was way low, but it was on the stick. So I turned the car off, added a bunch more, and I basically I'm at the bottom of that range, and the car's fairly warm now. I had it running for a couple minutes, and then I also revved it up to 2,000 RPM, which is the specified required way to check the oil level. Revved it up at 2,000 RPM and let it run for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes at that 2,000. Shut it off. I'm still a little bit low. I'm at the minimum now, just above the minimum mark. So I'm just going to top this up one more time
and then that's all we got, and we're ready for a drive. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was meaningful. I hope it was educational. I hope it was informative. So here we are. Anyway, I've done the oil change. But again, I hope you liked. Again, if you didn't already subscribe to the channel in the beginning, please do make sure you do now. Like I said, I'm really trying to grow the following. I'm really committed to you guys, providing you guys with educational videos, with videos regarding some fun, some reviews, and some issues and concepts of supercars and high-end performance cars. So please do, like I said, come back, share with your friends, like, and subscribe. All right, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.